All the parts of the vocal cavity are participating in the production of this one letter Om. This one word Om includes all the words. If it includes all the words, that means it includes the sound of the universe.
You had mentioned, Monica, that there is something that needs to be opened today. A book needs to be opened today, and that book is about the Chanda Shastra. So I think it's time that you help us understand what is contained in that. You piqued my curiosity when you said that sentence that a book needs to be revealed and opened today.
Yes, actually, it needs to be opened because even I was absolutely surprised when I came to know about the detailings of all this, the book. What is it all about? So here I would start with that our Sanskrit language, it has three main features. Three main features that make it very, very important. What are those three features? The first is aphorism. Aphorism means condensing something in very short. So the Vedic literature is very, very vast. The knowledge is huge. There's so many concepts that need to be there. All concepts have been explained. So if we had to write each and every concept, we had to detail about every concept that is in nature, there would have been so many books written on it. But our literature is very, very condensed. It was actually not written in the earlier times. It was composed much later by Rishi Vedyasji. Earlier, it was just coming down through the Guru Shishya Parampara. The whole of the knowledge was coming down the generations. So it had to be very, very short. Means everything that was a huge was explained in just 2 lines or sutras to the student. The student would just remember that sutra forever in life. And so the knowledge was there in his brain and it stayed there in his brain to be used whenever he wanted. So that is huge knowledge had to be written in very, very short. So how was this possible? So this was possible through this very important book that is the Chanda Shastra. So Chanda Shastra, written by Pingal Rishi, Maharishi Pingal, it is a rule book actually. It contains or it defines different types of chants that can be written. Different types of chants are called sutras. So we have different types of sutras, and they are different types because they will contain a required number of lines, 2 lines, 3 lines, 4 lines, and the number of words in each line would also be specific. So you have an idea which you need to express. You have this knowledge which you need to express. So you just can't write it down like that. For to see the difficulty in writing, first there is this knowledge that you want to write down on paper. Okay. And then you have to condense that much of knowledge into 2 lines. Okay, you write 2 lines, but then the words have to be only that much. How you have to modify you have to condense your knowledge into words and how they had to be written. And it did not stop here. There was another very important feature to it. That is the rhythm. Rhythm. That was very important. And this is the part that I was saying that this book needs to be opened today from the rhythm point of view. This was also the part of that rules that how a sutra would also have a particular sutra would also have a particular rhythm to it. As far as this rhythm is concerned, I mean it is the short and the long notes. In music, we have long and the short notes, which in Sanskrit we called the laghu and the guru notes. So the guru are the long notes and the laghu are the short notes. It had to be like specified that how many long notes and how many short notes would be there in the sutra, and after how many long there would be one short, or after how many short there would be long. So that sequence of long and short notes that was specified for a particular sutra was mentioned in the Chanda Shastra. Wow. So see how difficult it was to write a book at that time that was actually called Shastra. It was called Shastra because Shastra would contain shlokas or sutras which are written according to the rules that are mentioned in the Chanda Shastra.
So, like writing the code for the human
yes, it is
software.
Yes, that is why these are supposed to be codes. Codes that need to be decoded to understand the main concept. And to decode it, obviously, you will require the detailing of the Sanskrit language. So there are many, many words that you will find in Sanskrit that are just there to complete the chand. Like if you have to write 8 words and you just have 7, so you need to add an additional word. So you have words like nurture. These are words that do not mean actually anything, but they are written just to complete the length of that line. For the long and rhythm, the rhythm that has to be followed for that. To fit into the rhythm or to complete the number of words, there were some additional words that were written. If you understand these sutras, you will also find that the Sanskrit language is not in the form of a single simple sentence that we have in Hindi or English.
That's right.
So yeah, there are certain words. It seems to be like jumbled words. The words that is written that will come later. It should have been, maybe it has meaning right in the beginning.
Right.
It has, the words are put together according to the rules, because we need to follow that rhythm and the length. Right. What was the importance of writing? Means, why were they working so hard at it? There is a big question. Why were they working so hard at writing everything in the form of sutra or shloka?
Mm-hmm.
That needs to be understood. That is a big question.
Absolutely.
That we should be asking here. So here is where science is, and here is why this book should be opened. Is that they have said that this rhythm that they're talking about, this coincides with the rhythm that our brains can recognize.
Wow.
Yes. So these shlokas were written, this rhythm could be easily remembered by our brains. That is why. So here I would also mention the difference between a mantra and a sutra or shloka.
Mm-hmm.
Mantra is supposed to be completely apaurushya. Our rishis were called mantra drashtas. Mm-hmm. Why were they called mantra drashtas? Because they were actually seeing the mantra in their subconscious. They got tuned into that mantra and they got it in their consciousness.
So these are Shruti Vakyas, these mantras.
Yes, these are Shruti Vakyas, the mantras. Completely apaurushya. Man has not created them. And when you study these mantras, here is when these mantras are following a particular rhythm. That Pingal Rishis has understood and written in this book, Ashtadhyayi. So he has actually decoded all those mantras. He's talking about the grammar in the mantra, that it is containing these many words in these many lines, and this is the rhythm that the mantra is following.
You identified the rule which is
Rule, yes, that
presented.
rule that in which the mantra was got to the rishi. Because why were these rules very important? Why do we chant mantras? To invoke a particular kind of energy. So it is said that every kind of energy, good or bad, every kind of energy is there in the universe. So when you speak out a mantra, when you chant a mantra, you are going to produce a particular rhythm, a particular wave, sound wave. So when we are speaking a mantra, a particular sound is being produced in a particular rhythm.
Right.
So that particular sound in that rhythm is going to produce a particular wave.
Correct.
Now this sound wave, so if you have that particular type of energy, sound energy in the universe, so when that sound that you have produced needs to get synced in with the energy that is already present in the universe, and then resonance is going to occur. And when resonance is going to occur, that means you have now got synced into that energy. Now the mantra or the chanting of the mantra is effective.
Mm.
So till the time it does not coincide with the energy of the universe, that mantra is not going to have any meaning. So it cannot be in simple words. Basically, you are producing a particular kind of sound energy to invoke a particular kind of energy that is already present in the
I'm wondering whether we're discussing Sanskrit or are we talking physics or quantum physics?
That is why I'm saying that all the people who are physics, who are scientists, who are doing physics, who are basically doing the sound technology, should actually open this book. Many people have discussed about the sound technology behind the
Mahamrityunjay mantra. Yes.
We have decoded the sound, the kind of waves. So those are the waves that I'm talking about. So every
interesting that you mentioned. My mind actually is on a spool of Mahamrityunjay mantra while you're explaining this to me, and the rhythm of it.
Mahamrityunjay mantra, there is a particular sound wave that is produced. So that sound wave is going to coincide with another kind of, with a similar kind of energy in the universe. And then that mantra is going to be effective. Now there is another part to it. What is that part is, in order to have that effectiveness in the mantra, everything has to be synced in. Everything should be coinciding. The other aspect that should be coinciding is time.
Mm-hmm.
So at all times, we do not have all types of energies in the cosmos. In the morning, so we have different muhurats.
Yes.
During the day,
Yes.
different time periods are for different type of activities.
Wow. Yes.
Why? Because at different types of in different time periods, we have different types of energies in the atmosphere. So that is why different time periods have been specified for different mantras. If you are chanting a particular mantra, the wave is getting produced from your side, but there is no wave. That wave in the atmosphere is not present at that time. There is going to be no resonance. The mantra is not going to be effective.
Like for Gayatri Mantra, they say that it has to be chanted from sunrise, between sunrise to sunset, when the sun is up.
Yes.
It's asked to be avoided after the sundown. So people who are actually into mantra chanting would
Yes,
not
yes.
chant the Gayatri Mantra after sunset.
Yes. So that is the huge, I think, complexity behind the mantras. They are not simple. There is complete sound technology and the concept of the wave nature of the sound wave and the resonance. That is what our mantras are actually. Now, here, this brings me to another topic related to this is that since the mantras are so complex, that means they have to be very specific as far as the sound is there. The chanting has to be proper, the rhythm has to be proper, the time has to be proper, the atmosphere has to be proper. So what do you think, how many mantras that we are chanting are effective? Hardly any in the Kali Yuga. So what Rishi Vedyasti saw in his when he was writing all the Vedas, that he saw that the people of Kali Yuga and the atmosphere of the Kali Yuga would not be that means for those times, the all that knowledge that has been written in the Vedas is not going to be understood very easily. This is what Naraji came and told Vedvyasji, that this knowledge is not going to be understood and not going to be much applicable in the times to come. So what needs to be done?
I know where you're going.
What can a common person do? First of all, a common person will not be able to pronounce. You don't know the details of the Sanskrit language. You'll not be pronouncing it well. And if you're pronouncing it well, maybe the time is not accurate. What is for the present time is the third aspect of the Sanskrit language, of our text that you can say. It is first is the rhythm. The second is that aphorism, that it needs to be, it is supposed to be very short. The third, and I think the most important part is it is dialectal. Dialectal means that for every sutra, for every shloka, for every kind of knowledge that we have, there is a beautiful story associated with the concept. And that story you will not find in the raw Vedas. Those stories you will find in the 18 Puranas. Love element is in the Puranas, and that is the importance of this Kali Yuga also. That we need to take all kind of knowledge is in the form of love that is mentioned in the Puranas here. So you can actually, a person who is very passionate and doesn't bother too much about the science factor can go into the Puranic factor of the Vedic culture, Vedic literature. And a person who is concerned about science, technology, why, what, can please go and study the Chand Shastra. So you can go and study the Chand Shastra who are very inquisitive minds. And a person who's just, just a believer can go to the Puranas, just study the stories, listen to the stories, and you by default you'll come across many principles, scientific principles that you can just completely believe.
Do you have any specific references or where people can reach out to? Because if it is piquing any curiosity and if somebody wants to get into learning these or reading these, I know for Purans, you can go to the compilations which are the books which are available by the Gita Press. But
The present government is very serious about this aspect now, and they have recently there is this site vedueducation.com. Vedu Education, VEDU, education.com. All Vedas in all languages, all Puranas in all languages, whatever you need to know about Vedic literature, you'll find it there. People from the physics fraternity should be talking about the Chand Shastra today, because we can go miles ahead if we talk about this book, if we start studying the book, the Fibonacci series, that is basically mentioned in the Chand Shastra. The origin is in the Chand Shastra. Many such things you will find in the Chand Shastra that have gone back, that have been taken up very easily by the West and then reproduced back to India. This is how deep our literature is, the Vedic literature.
Beautiful, very nice. Interesting how you mentioned about the Fibonacci sequence also, which is contained in the Chanda Shastra. And when you look at the sequence of the design that comes, it it brings out the shape of the spiral, the shank shape that's coming to my mind with this is the shell.
Yes.
And also you mentioned about the sound. Whenever I've held a shell to my ear, it seems as if the ocean or the vastness is talking to you.
Yes, yes, yes. So see how if you learn about all these things, you will be thinking about many new things as you're thinking right now.
Very nice. I mean, it is a small thing. Even so, when you when the original sound of the universe is Om, in that small little shell which you hold in your hand, when you put it against your ear, it seems that it's bringing the sound of the ocean through that sequence only of the way the shape would be made. I believe that would be bringing the sound back to us.
Yes. So all this technology, again, sound technology. So Chand Shastra, as I was telling you, is completely based on this sound technology. Completely based on that. And the binary system, the 0101, the binary system, these are basically referred to as the Lagu and the Guru notes.
Guru notes, yes.
So you have the rhythm is in the form of these Lagu, Guru, 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 Lagu, Lagu. So this is the rhythm how the shloks come in.
You'd mentioned it, that the aphorism is like condensing it, like the kind of SIM card that we have, which or these the coding, all of that is shrinking into a very, very small piece of um let's say device which has so much of information just based on zeros and ones.
Yes, here I would also like to say this particular feature, aphorism or condensation. And how has it happened? Because of the rules that have been written. According to rules, the knowledge has been condensed. And it has been so condensed, then that once that shloka or a sutra has been formed, then it needs to be actually decoded. It cannot be understood very easily. It cannot, because there are some words that have been added. There are some words that have been put from here to there. So a sutra basically is very difficult to understand. It is not very easy to understand. The Vedic knowledge is hidden knowledge. Why hidden knowledge? Because it cannot be understood very easily by the common person who doesn't know the language well. If you do not know Sanskrit, you will not be able to understand these the meaning of the sutras. So basically, the knowledge that is contained in that sutra is unavailable to the common person. It is available only to a learned person. Basically, a learned person was called a Brahmin. So only the Brahmins, that means basically if you're calling a person a Brahmin, automatically you're saying that he's a learned person. A person who knows is a
The
Brahmin.
Vedic literature and the Vedic knowledge.
The person who knows, who's a learner, who is concerned with knowledge is a Brahmin. Okay, he can belong to any community. If you are a learned person and if you are into this learning and the teaching part, you are a Brahmin. So if you know the Sanskrit language, that means you are understanding the sutra. So who is doing that? A Brahmin is doing that. So what can we say? That this knowledge was available only to the Brahmins. But this doesn't mean that it was not available to the common person. It was available to all. It was understood only by the learned. And learned was called a Brahmin. So that is the beauty, that is the depth of our culture. It is not that it was hidden knowledge and only the Brahmins had authority over it. That this is completely wrong. Anybody who could understand was it was available for that person. So it is said in Sanskrit that all knowledge was hidden inside the chand. Chandon में सारी knowledge छुपी हुई थी. It is said like that. छुपी हुई का मतलब ये है because unless and until you do not know the rules, you will not be able to understand the meaning. That is the meaning of hidden knowledge. You know how we are demeaning our culture today. कि ये तो knowledge was just meant for the Brahmins. It was not for the common person. He was not allowed to read the text. Ladies were not allowed to read the text. It was not like that. Anybody who could understand. And once you could understand, you were automatically a Brahmin then.
It's very convenient to demean, and I think that the very nature of human beings, first up, is to look at the negative side of things. um, and only then when you begin to open up to the profundity behind, let's say, your reference takes me back to Nostradamus, right? Nostradamus, who did a lot of prophecies and related to the world. He was able to foresee into the future, and he was seeing a lot of things which either could have been misused if it was opened to the public domain, or it could have made people uncomfortable with the kind of insights that he was able to see. And he composed couplets and created riddles around things that he was able to see, only because it doesn't overwhelm the larger public, and if it could be decoded by the right person, it would be able he or she would be able to put it into the right perspective to be understood by the larger masses.
That was
So
exactly the thing. That
that's
what
that
you
is how it
mentioned.
should be. I
Yes,
mean,
it should be like that. It should be known only to the learned person so that it cannot be misused. So there
absolutely.
we have in our Vedas, there is the Aranyak part. Aranyak. In the Vedas, one part is known as the Aranya part. Aranya was these were those sutras or shlokas that were written or that should be read only when you are in the forests, because they require a lot of peacefulness. Your mind should be absolutely at peace. The atmosphere should be absolutely serene. In only that type of an atmosphere you will be able to understand and know about the slokas. Otherwise you will not know their meaning. So it should not be known to the common people, because they would not understand. If they understood, they will have a different perspective to it, and it would be misused. So that was also the purpose of the Chanda Shastra, that everything should not be actually available to the person who does not deserve to know it. Exactly what you've told.
Yeah, who would not be able to make the right meaning out of it.
Yes, yes.
And it's understood that we are at a varying degree of evolution. I mean, I'm looking at my own self. If this is the kind of conversation that we are doing today, had I done this conversation, say, about 10 years back, one can say you're growing up and you're maturing. Fair enough, that's one way of understanding that you're growing up and maturing. But that level of maturity does not really necessarily come as you grow in age.
So Shankaracharya was just 32 years when he left the world, and he had known and deciphered and written everything. So age, I think it is something divine.
I love the very mention of Shankaracharya. At the age of 8, somebody who's read and decoded all the Vedas, and it's beautiful. Very nice. Very nice. What else do we need to understand when we look at this
Yes, as
language first?
there's very beautiful another. There are many aspects to the Sanskrit language, but some the technical part actually is very interesting. So there is one Aryabhat was a great mathematician. There is a system that he had actually mentioned in his book Aryabhatya. That is the Akshara Sankhya system. The Akshara Sankhya system, since it is concerned with this part that we are discussing, that is formation of sutras according to Chanda Shastra. So he was a mathematician. He was dealing with numbers. So how could the numbers fit in the shlokas now?
Right.
Again, difficult. How could the formulae fit in the shlokas? Difficult. So he had to mention certain big figures, big, huge figures, astronomical figures. How could those be included in the shlokas? He gave birth to this new concept, which was known as the Akshara Sankhya system. So Akshar means you're now going to use the letters, and Sankhya means you're going to use the numbers. And there is going to be a correlation between the words and the numbers. So what he did was that he put all the Varnamala, he took up the Varnamala, and all the consonants, they were given number each. For example, K was given number 1, K was given number 2, G was given number 3, and so on. So you can just remember K, K, G, and so on. It was like K is 1, K is 2, and G is 3. Okay, so these were the basic numbers that were given to the consonants.
Namala. Mhm.
And other than we have the vowels. So what he did to the vowels was was given 10 raised to power 0. A was given 10 raised to power 1. E was given 10 raised to power 2. E was given 10 raised to power 3 and so on. So the powers of 10 was given to the vowels.
Vowels.
Okay. So this was the correlation. So now if we for example, if we have something, a word called Gucci, not the brand that I'm not talking about. Actually, Gucci is a word that has been mentioned in this one of his shlokas. So Gucci, if there is some word written Gucci in the Vedic text, what would it mean? So you have the word ga.
3.
Yes. And ga would mean actually 3.
U would be 10 raised to the power 4.
Yeah, ga is 3. Ga is 3. And gu, it is capital, bada u. So gu, it is 10 raised to power 5.
5. Okay.
So actually we are talking about 3 into 10 raised to power 5. With the word letter gu is saying 3 into 10 raised to power 5.
Ch would be
Ch, ch
6.
would be 6. 6. And
E
then
10 raised to the
E is
power
going to
4.
be 10 raised to power, E is going to be 10 raised to power 3.
3. Acha. E.
E,
Chota E.
badi
No.
E. Badi E. E. 10 raised to power 3.
4. 3.
Yeah. So it is going to be 6 into 10 raised to power 3. So it is going to be 3 into 10 raised to power 5, 30,000 plus 6 into 10 raised to power 3. So this is the word this is the number that is talking about this about by this small word Gucci. So he has been actually talking about the sign function. So the shlok goes something like you have in the shlok you have words like makhi, bhakhi, kakhi, such words have been mentioned. So if a person who doesn't know all the system and if he's reading this, he would say this is nonsense. So it doesn't mean anything actually. So if you do not know the system, now if you I am just saying kaki, you actually if you know the Akshara Sankhya system, you know what number am I talking about?
Actually, you can talk in coded language.
Yes, this is I'm talking about a number actually.
Mm.
And if you decode the whole of the shlok, it is basically talking about the sign function.
Mm.
Yes. So this is how he had to do this because obviously because of the constraints of the Sanskrit language, he had to put it into the form of a shloka.
Mm.
So whatever mathematical rule that he was talking about, he had to put it in the form of a shloka. So that is why he introduced this Akshara Sankhya system. And this is how decoding of these words need to be done. So according to this, I'll just give you a very small example of this Akshara Sankhya system. There are these two word line that goes like Yug Ravi Bhagnaha Kyugrihi. See how it seems to be very complex. But what does this mean actually? Yug is one yug, Ravi is the Surya. It's talking about that in one yuga, the sun rotates on its axis. How many times? Kragyu times. Kragyu is giving the value that this is the number of times the sun is actually rotating on its axis. And if you decode Kragyu, it comes out to be 4,32,000 times. 4,32,000 times. So this is how you will get so much of knowledge from your own Vedic texts, but you need to understand them, and you will not understand them without knowing the Sanskrit language. So whoever is interested and ever wants to go into this world of Vedic knowledge, he should be able to at least learn Sanskrit. Once you get the feel of the Sanskrit language, you can read beautiful stotras that have been written by Shankaracharya and many other scholars. You just go through the Bhaj Govindam, you go through the Nirvan Shatakam, and there you will actually be able to acknowledge the poetic beauty in the language there.
Truly.
Bhaj Govindam is beautiful as far as the rhythm is concerned. Nirvan Shatakam. So
Bhaj
these
Govindam is beautiful. It also talks about how the growth of a child is happening through the stages of childhood to adolescence to it's beautiful. And
Knowledge here, knowledge is there in all our in all our scriptures, in all these sutras. Knowledge is a different part, but you will also be able to recognize the beauty behind it.
hmm,
The
how it
lyric,
has been put in a very concise manner, the information, and poetically
how one words
said.
goes to another words in a very rhythmic form.
Hmm.
You will be able to acknowledge that beauty in the language. It is not rough and raw. It is beauty. Also, beauty is also associated with the language. It is complex, but it is beautiful.
And the thing about language also is that the earlier that it is introduced for a human being, earlier, I mean, say before the age of 7, it is easier for a child to grasp the language at that stage
Yes,
because the brain acknowledges it's not conditioned as much. It
yes,
is
yes,
difficult beyond the age of 10 to actually learn. I mean, it takes a lot of effort. I mean, I wouldn't say difficult. Somebody wants to learn, definitely can, would be able to manage that. However, the earlier the better, because the brain aligns with that language in a very beautiful way. I've known of a friend of mine whose daughter is about less than 8 years of age, and she attends a gurukul from 5 to 7 online, and in that they are only taught how to rhythmically recite the the stotras, the shloks, the mantra, etc. And when I asked her what is the meaning is not taught
yes,
right now because the child is would not be able to understand the meaning. So absolutely all right. तो वो जो ingraining हो रही है, the writing of repetition is actually getting etched in the subconscious,
yes, yes,
and it can at will be recalled whenever the meaning is taught later on when these children grow up.
yes,
It'll be
yes.
so easy for them to understand how this rhythm is structured and put
Mhm.
into this
Mhm.
small little two-lined sequence, and holds so much of expansive information in it.
Yes,
I think
yes,
these
that is
children
it.
would be able to really appreciate it.
Obviously this was our culture was very aptly it was absolutely like that because all knowledge needs to be taught in the brahmacharya period before the age of 14
Mhm.
to 15 years. You
Mhm.
should be able to take in all the knowledge. And once you go enter the grest period of your life, brahmacharya is followed by grest. Grest is that part of life when you actually apply the knowledge,
Application, absolutely.
application of the knowledge. That knowledge should be there in you, and with
Mhm.
that knowledge you are going to enter the grest life, and in that grest life you can actually experiment on that knowledge. So grest is experimentation, brahmacharya is theory, your grest is
Mhm.
application and experimentation. You
And
are also experimenting कि हमको जो सिखाया है वो ठीक है कि नहीं है.
Mhm.
So that is application and experimentation. And once you live throughout the dress life, then you are mature enough. Now this is the time to enter into the
One.
vanprastha. When you are that knowledge after experimentation is established in you. Because now you are a believer. Because I was taught this and it has been applied and it has been rightly applied. And I've got answers to all things. And with that established knowledge, then you give up everything. After vanprastha is sannyas. So Vanprasth is the time period when you go into deep thinking. With Vanprasth is related the Upanishads, the Vedantas. So once you it's
Mostly
done.
withdrawing from the active life. And you're saying Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasana. This is when you've heard it, assimilated. Mananam is when you're putting into practice and understanding it deeper. And
Yes, yes.
then
And
that.
finally, when you go through the Vanprasth and you have actually thought also about it, and then what is the thinking? What is left? Then it is just left that it is better that you give up everything, and then it is finally sannyas. So this was the beauty of our knowledge system. In the present times, what is happening? In the present times, a person is in his 80s and 90s, still knowing,
Nothing.
not knowing, hardly in thinking, chintan manan kuch bhi nahi hai. Where are we? At what stage of life are we? We've lived throughout the life. What have we learned? So that is what needs to be actually thought of again.
So, from speaking of the science behind this language, we actually, it's very natural for us to move into the science of life at
Right.
large.
Yes.
On that note, we conclude today's discussion here. Thank you, Monica, for
Thank you, Nadine,
beautifully
letting
explaining.
me be here and talking to a larger audience actually.
This is needed. This is needed for us to understand the profundity of, when we're talking about our Vedic culture, yes, but the language is a major part of it. So this needs to go out, and I wish that as many people can benefit from it. May they benefit from it.
Take pride in your culture. This is the intention.
Our only back story to this is, we tickle that curiosity of yours, and you go ahead and learn more.
Yes.
And we will be back in our next episode to continue the journey further. Now that we've understood this, the backdrop of Sanskrit language, we will take this further. So until our next episode, thank you. Stay safe, and
Yes, and
all the
I
best.
think we should also let our audience know that the next topic maybe we will talk more about mathematics,
Oh, fantastic!
astronomy. We're going to talk about physics, chemistry, how all this has its roots in your Vedic
The Veda.
literature. Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Monica, and see you again.
Thank you. Namaste to all.
Thank you.